Oh, we have that for later. All righty. So thank you all for being here and devoting this time to yourself and to your body and mind. It's really an honor for me to hold this space for you, and a tremendous gift for me to be able to offer this. There's something about my own personal practice which serves its own purpose, but then to be able to share this practice with you is so deeply meaningful for me. So let's see. Let's go ahead and do that. So focus for today is on what I'm calling the polarity flow, or working with the tension of opposites as it lives inside of us and kind of as we've been speaking all around us. So the opposites of light and shadow, or expansion and contraction, form and formlessness. And all of us have parts of us that are easier to relate to, easier to feel, and parts of us that are maybe we want to disown, or that we don't necessarily want to turn toward, that are maybe hold our pain or our own suffering. And sometimes we don't turn toward that because we just don't have the resources or know how to be with those experiences at a given moment. But when we can at least acknowledge and honor, whether it's sadness or grief or anger, whatever those emotions that are, can often get kind of sequestered or quarantined away, that when we can acknowledge that they're there, and when we can give space to attend to that in safe spaces, in kind of holy spaces. For me, the yoga mat is one of those, where it's a physical practice, but of course it's also a sacred practice where we can really turn inward toward what we, can often kind of carry around unconsciously or stockpile within us because we don't want to deal with those feelings when we're at work or parenting kids or trying to help kids with homeschool or whatever it might be, nowadays. So this is really that space. And, it's for me, not only the honor to guide the physical practice, but to hold space for those opportunities that we have to drop inward and attend to the hurts. So, we also have parts of us that are forward seeking, that are kind of reaching into our greatest potential. And we have parts that are afraid, parts that maybe hold back. And that when we can really feel almost like the tension of the bow, and I've got my Uncle Andy here, who's an archer, right? And so, when you have that tension of the bow, that feeling of pulling back in preparation for the momentum that then can propel us forward. And I feel like when we can attend to those parts that are maybe pulling back, the feeling of maybe regression or feeling stuck in ourselves, that the more that we can trust that tension, that pulling back, is actually purposeful, and it can really help guide us forward in our lives. Part of how we can help do that is through intentionality. That when we can really set our intention, our eyes toward our focus, what we want to create in our own lives, what we want to create in the world, that really helps us orient to how to work with that tension, and trust that when we release the arrow from the bow, it can go in the direction and propel us in the direction that we most want to create. So some food for thought, some ideas to take with you into the practice today. And in truth, what I really hope to create in today's practice is a little bit of willingness to balance out our safety seeking, the parts of us that want to go into retreat, with a willingness to play in the liminal space of the unknown. We're in a very precious time right now. It's Halloween, right? And it's, and it's this kind of deep time where we open up the gates a little bit more into the underworld, the We contemplate death. If we think about the Day of the Dead, we contemplate that those who have left us that are no longer here, and we kind of open up to a little bit more of the space in between, that liminal zone. So lots to play with. I'm going to offer a little quote here, and then we'll go into our dance, our exploration of physical and breath practices. And the quote for today is by Marie-Louise von Franz, and she is a Jungian. And what she said was that if we can stay with the tension of opposites long enough, sustain it, be true to it, we can sometimes become vessels within which the divine opposites come together and give birth to a new reality. If we can stay with the tension of opposites long enough, sustain it and be true to it, we can sometimes become vessels within which the divine opposites come together and give birth to a new reality. So taking a moment to drop inward, to check in with what has inspired you to be here. What are you seeking to integrate within yourself? And what new reality would you like to give birth to? Perhaps as you set this intention, just like planting a seed, there's a certain amount of trust at this stage of the practice where we allow that intention just to be planted. You could even imagine planting it at the front of your mat, a place to return to each time we visit the front of the mat, just a little visiting, a watering of that seed. And then we let it go. We trust. We come back to breath. Noticing your sensations in your body, maybe where you bring in a little bit of that tension in your shoulders, your jaw, your forehead, maybe your chest or your belly. Acknowledging those pockets of sensation, honoring the way that they lay dormant, just waiting for your attention. And perhaps even here, just subtly finding any micro movements, little shifts in your posture, recognizing how you can send your breath into the body in ways that can respond to what's present for you. You might send the breath across the rib cage and diaphragm and expand the belly. You might expand across the kidneys and adrenals. You might send the breath right into your heart. Maybe some subtle movements in your shoulders. Just moving and attending to any holding. And bringing in Ujjayi Pranayam if you'd like. Ujjayi Pranayam is that slight constriction in the throat. It has a audible quality to the breath of a sound, but it's in and out the nose. Noticing how the sound of the breath begins to wake up through the inner ear. Some sensation in the throat of warmth. And our first integrative practice is alternate nostril pranayama. So we'll take the right hand, folding in the first two fingers and taking the thumb to close off the right nostril. From here, inhaling through the left, switching the hand, closing the left nostril, exhale the right. Inhaling right. And exhaling left. That's a complete cycle. Inhaling left. Exhaling right. Inhaling right. Exhaling left. Inhaling left. Exhaling right. Inhaling right. Exhaling left. Inhaling left. Exhaling right. Inhaling right. Exhaling left. Slowly releasing the hand. Pausing for a moment. Allowing yourself to just breathe naturally and notice. Lovely. I'm going to shift back onto the mat. I didn't mention it earlier, but it is helpful to have blocks for our practice. If you don't have blocks, having a little pillow or books could be helpful as well. So we'll do a little spinal series here, integrating the breath work into the core of the body, allowing yourself to find some rotations here as we begin. Upper body around the legs, the pelvis, inhaling forward, exhaling back. Simple movement, right? And if this is too much to sit cross-legged, sitting on the floor, you can do this with the legs out in front of you. You can do this sitting up higher in a chair, the edge of a couch, right? So you're making this your own. Let's go in the opposite direction. What's lovely about this initial sequence is that you can also really pause, find those little pockets of tension or sensation, find the micro movements around that, send your breath there. So you might find the joy of the flowing movement or the specificity of just tuning into those sensations and honoring them. Good. Let's go ahead and inhale up to center. We'll take the hands, shins, ankles, and exhale, releasing straight back. Inhale, heart forward, shoulders back. And exhale. And even here, playing with that little tension of opposites. So you can take hold of the shin and reach the upper spine away. And then on the inhale, really draw the shoulder blades back, pulling the heart through and forward. Good, just a few more like that. And then we'll draw hands to shoulders. Inhale, opening the elbows, lifting the chin. And exhale, tucking your chin, elbows come together in front of your heart. In Robin's breath, we get to play with that expansion in throat, in chest, and contraction. Elbows come together, draw it all into midline. And then finding your flow with the breath, your rhythm. And then we'll open our wings. Inhale, expanding the fingertips. Exhale, this time really press palms to midline. Press them firmly. Inhale to open. Exhale, pressing it in. And again. Releasing the hands here. And we're going to find a variation on some twists. I'm going to show the slow modulated version first, and then I'm going to show a kind of rapid, more intense breath-inspired twist. And I'll ask you to really choose what works for your body when we get into that second one. So the first one here is we're going to place our hands out like we're holding a tray. So some of my regular local folks will recognize this one. And we're going to inhale to the center and exhale as we twist to the left. Inhale, center, and exhale to twist to the right. Now what I want you to do, we're taking the hands out of the twist, keep moving with the breath here, is to really sense the muscles around the low spine and the stability of the pelvis, so that you can use the core muscles to help create a twist in the spine. And yet we're really finding midline. One more to each side. Lovely. Now, that's a great place to stay and to repeat. The next version, the alternative, is to bring the hands to the shoulders, and we'll do a more rapid breath and movement together. So we'll start out, inhale left, exhale right, and it can look and sound like this. Okay, see how it feels in your body. And if that's not right for you, come back here, okay? Inhale left, exhale right. Still feeling that you're twisting around the midline, long spine, supported core. Inhale, center. Exhale here. Switching it up. Inhale, right. Exhale, left. Inhale, center. Exhale, releasing the hands. Pausing in meditation for a moment. Allowing any lingering, spinning, maybe a little dizziness to settle. You might even feel some energy movement, right? Some chi, some tingling, some aliveness. Good. We're going to integrate this by coming down onto our backs. Go ahead and find your way there. It will be helpful if you have a block to keep it nearby. We will use it once we're down there. So when we integrate some prana into the midline, that central stream from tailbone to the crown of the head, we'll spend some time really awakening now into the core to ground that and into the inner thighs of the legs. So once you're on your back, bending your knees, we're going to take the block and place it between the inner thighs, letting your feet be nice and firmly grounded so that if you draw a line from your sits bones, it'll intersect your heels. And then from there, allowing your hands to press down by your sides. And you may want to keep your back on the floor to gaze for this one, but we're coming into bridge. So once you're in bridge, just allow your gaze to go straight up toward the ceiling. We don't want to turn the head in this posture. And with this particular bridge, we're going to keep the hands pressed down toward the floor and just allowing yourself to orient to this shape, maybe fine-tuning where your feet are in relationship to your spine so that you feel supported in this shape. And then from here, I want you to imagine dragging your heels toward your tailbone so that you're waking up through your hamstrings. Feel that? So simple movement, squeezing the block, inner thigh line awake, squeezing heels toward your tailbone. You might even feel a little bit of shake in that action. That's what we're going for. And then let's settle it down. You can walk your feet a little wider so they're just falling in toward each other onto the block or just towards the knees. And taking a breath here. And you guessed it, we're going up again. So walk your heels back in, finding that placement, pressing your palms down, lifting your hips, squeezing the block, drawing heels toward your tailbone, awakening through the hamstrings. Connecting to breath. And you can even press the back of the head into the mat just a little bit, a little lift of the chin as you lift the hips. Draw the heels back. And then lower. You can widen the feet if you liked that. Just let the legs rest for a moment. And then walking the feet back in. Pressing the block, pressing the palms, lifting the hips. This time a little different. We're going to walk the left foot in a little bit closer to midline so that we can free the right heel. And then you're going to send that right leg long. So we're still squeezing the block. You're just extending the shin in the foot. And then lower, tap the toe to the mat. Inhale, lift. Squeeze the block. Press that left heel toward your tailbone, activating the hamstring, the glute muscle on the left leg. Another lift of the right toes, lower. Let's do one more. Lift, lengthen, lower down, and let's rest between sides for a moment. Settling your hips, walking feet out, resting toward the block. And then walking feet in, pressing palms, lifting the hips. Right foot walks a little closer to midline, freeing left foot, sending left toes forward and down, moving with your breath, lifting and lowering, dragging that right heel toward your tailbone, feeling that little shake, squeezing the block. One more time. And then resting, hips to the earth, removing your block for a second and hugging your knees in. Maybe a little rock side to side here. It's intense, huh? I hope so. At least that was for me. So from here, we're going to set the feet on the earth. We're going to take the hands behind the head. Inhale and exhale to lift. Inhale to lower. Let your head be heavy. Let your elbows be wide. And really imagining that third chakra, the solar plexus, waking that up. One more here. Lowering down for a moment to lift the heels off the mat, and we're going to table the legs. So again, we're going to come into some movement. There's both a static hold and a movement as we did with bridge. So listen carefully. You might look for the first one here. We're going to lift through the upper body. We're going to table the legs, and we're going to extend the right leg long and bring it back up. Keeping the upper body lifted, just the right side, long, back up, long, back up. And this time extending it long and just a brief hold here. So come to your breath. If you need to lower through the head and shoulders, lower. Let the head be heavy, let the gaze be up, the elbows wide, extending through that right heel. Drawing right knee up, lower down for a moment, hug the knees in. A little rock if you like. And then knees back to table, hands behind the head, lifting through the upper body. We're keeping the upper body lifted the whole time, and we're extending the left heel and back up. Left heel, back up. Left heel, back up. And this time we extend, we hold. We're lifting through head and shoulders, finding your breath. You can choose how low that left heel goes. You might be feeling this by now. All right, drawing left knee in, lower it down, hug your shins, a little rock. And one more layer. We'll find our obliques here. Taking hands behind the head, we'll put it all together. Right elbow, left knee, extend the right leg in through center, yogi bicycles, switching sides now. Now my hope is that you can feel your core at this point, what we have done thus far, building into some palpable sensation, remembering that we're going toward a little bit of that tension in the bow so that it can spring us forward, allowing yourself to embrace the buildup of that tension You might even exhale through the mouth. Good, let's do one more each side. And then hug it all in, right to center, hands behind the knees, and let's rock on the spine. A little self-massage, and then up and over the shins into a tabletop. And here I'll invite you to lift head and tail and really sense that front line of your body. And then exhale, arching the spine, drawing navel back toward the spine. A few more like that. And then we'll stabilize here in tabletop. From table, we'll extend the left leg back and the right arm forward. So pausing for a moment, and if you want to keep the right fingertips on the ground, that's a modification here. If you're wanting to go for that full balance, take a moment to find it with the gaze of your eyes here, helping to find that balance. And then on an inhale, a slight lift of hand and foot, and exhale, elbow to knee under your body. Moving with the breath. Good. Listen carefully. Inhale, reach. Exhale, bending into the left knee. Drawing the right hand back. This is a beautiful place to stay. Just allowing yourself to feel that intending toward contact, or you might take hold of your left foot. Here we have our bow structure. Kicking left foot into the hand, feeling that tension, that reach and the resistance. Maybe as you're gazing toward the front of your mat, remember your intention. Inhale here and exhale, release, let it go, knee and hand to the earth, and a little free flow. Just let something go through you, let go, any unnecessary tension, any build up there. And we'll find side two. This time we extend right leg back, finding your gaze, and left fingers forward if you'd like. Inhaling here. Exhale, staying for a moment, just really feeling that shape in space. And now we'll add movement. Inhale, a slight lift of heel and fingers, and exhale under your body, making contact, knee and elbow. Moving with the breath, inhale, exhale. Inhale, reach. Exhale, bending through the right leg, sending left arm back. Beautiful place to stay, or maybe capturing the top of the foot with the hand and kicking into the hand. Feeling how the resistance actually helps create the shape. It wakes us up inside of it. Finding the breath. One more inhale. And exhale, release, letting it go, and a little free flow. Excellent. All right, we have another little shape to explore from here. We're going to take the right foot back and behind. Send your left leg long, and we'll find a modification of side, what is this called? Vashisthasana, a side plank. So knee down, extending that outer left foot into the ground, and that right arm can reach overhead. You might even lift up onto fingertips, just feeling that side body right here. And then grounding into the right hand, some of you might choose to shift your weight into right hand, right knee, and lift your left foot off of the ground. So a little bit of a balance in this shape. There you go, good. Again, coming back to breath. And on an exhale, maybe knee and elbow come to greet each other. Inhale, reach. Exhale, contract. Inhale. Exhale. Inhale, reach, listen carefully. Exhale, bending the left leg, taking left arm back and behind. Beautiful place to stay, or maybe you capture the top of the foot. And once again, find a little half bow shape. Feeling how the tension of opposites helps wake up across the heart. Slowly unwind, release. We come back through tabletop. A few breaths here just to work that through. And we'll find side two. Left toes behind, right leg extends long. A modification of an extended side plank here, reaching the right fingertips overhead, grounding into the outer edge of the right foot. This is a fabulous place to stay. Feeling that opening of the side body, or maybe shifting weight, knee and left hand, right foot might lift off of the ground, finding balance. Inhale. Maybe a little side body strengthener, knee and elbow. Inhale, expand. Exhale. Inhale. One more like that. Inhale here. Exhale, bending the knee. Taking right hand around to the top of the foot, or just intending in that direction. Maybe you bow it out. Slowly soften, release, back through to tabletop. This time, curling the toes under and lifting the hips, downward facing dog, and taking a moment to let the limbs of your body support you as you lengthen out through your spine. You might walk out one knee bending and the other, or bending both knees deeply. Even bending the elbows and re-lengthening. Exploring how as you lift through the sits bones, you can find a little bit of the natural lumbar curve, and then allowing your spine to be long, crown of the head reaching toward the mat. From downward facing dog, taking your gaze forward and taking a walk to the top of your mat. Finding ragdoll here, bending the knees as much as you need. Palms can be on the earth, maybe pinkies to elbow creases, whatever supports you most. Maybe you nod your head yes, maybe you shake it no. Some sounds can release, moving through your jaw, letting something go. We will take a transition up to standing. From here, I'll invite you to take knees hip width apart. And you know what? You might even want to place a block between your thighs again, finding that midline of inner thighs pressing toward each other. That's up to you if it's handy. And then from there, I'll invite you to take a long spine, really feel that midline press, and draw your fingertips back behind you. So we're still in a deep knee bend, a squat in the legs, and we're finding that core through the belly here as you draw navel towards spine. You can reach through the crown of the head, a slight tuck of the chin so that even the cervical spine is toned. And then maybe from here, rocking weight towards your heels, sending your fingertips forward, hugging thighs toward midline, maybe an imaginary block between your hands as well. Let your breath rise to meet the shape. And then pressing into the feet, long spine will transition all the way to standing. And let it go, releasing your hands, the block if you've got it there. Maybe kick out one leg and the other. Good. And then from here, I'll invite us to do another little chi awakening piece. For those of you that were with us last week, this will make some sense when I'm talking about moving the chi. The movement on this one is feet can be hip width, maybe even a little wider. And we're just going to begin to rotate the torso and let the arms swing. Now this is certainly in the yoga tradition, something I learned years ago at my Kripalu yoga teacher training. It's also in the Qigong tradition. And what we're doing here is we're letting the arms swing, and they're gonna create a little contact with the lower back around the kidney area so that you're actually waking up and stimulating some of the kidney chi. And you can let the breath come into the movement, exhale to each side. Slowly begin to let the movement begin to settle, slower, softer, subtler, until you come back to stillness. Maybe still a slight knee bend here, and letting yourself notice a little bit of tingling or the movement inside of the stillness. Beautiful. All right, we're going to come into some stabilizing movements for the lower body. Once again, a little bit of a twisting action in the upper body. So from here, we're going to draw the arms up overhead. And on an exhale, we're going to send the right arm back, left arm forward. So what tends to want to happen when we do this movement is that right hip will follow. So I want you to resist that. I want you to actually keep the pelvis nice and square as you draw the right arm back, right fingertips back, left fingertips forward. And then inhale, center, and switch it out. Exhale, left fingertips back, right fingertips forward. Right? And just keep the gaze forward if you want. Notice if that left hip begins to creep back and square the pelvis. Inhale, center. Let's take it to the right side. Inhale, and to the left. Beautiful. We're going to add on, inhale, center. This time, we're going to take the upper body to the right, lifting the right knee. Come back through center. Shifting weight to right foot. Exhale, upper body to the left, lifting the left knee. So back and forth. Inhale, center, lifting right knee, twisting upper body. Pelvis continues to square to the front. Coming to center, planting right foot, lifting the left, twisting to the left. Good. Maybe one little addition here as we twist to the right, maybe taking your elbow to the right knee, coming through center, switching to left, elbow to knee. One more time each side. Good. Back through to center. This time, exhale, draw your fingertips back, like so, right? You draw the fingertips back. We're going to lift to the balls of the feet. You might need to use your gaze. This is actually a little harder than it looks, right? So palm tree. Your arms, your shoulders to open. And then, before we fall out of balance, lowering the heels. Let's interlace the hands here at the low back and drawing the knuckles down to lift the heart. Exhale, forward fold. Now you can widen the feet, hip width or so, and then you can always keep the knuckles, the hands down by the sacrum, or maybe you begin to open through the shoulders as you draw the connected hands overhead. Yogi Mudra, head bows below the heart. Slowly by way of the sacrum, releasing hands down to the earth. Inhale, halfway lift. And exhale, fold. From here, we'll plant the hands and we'll step back to a high plank position. Pausing for a moment, allowing your hips to sink in one long line between the heels and the crown of the head. Pressing into the palms, maybe even opening a little further into the back side of the heart. And then we're going to lower to the earth as if you're pulling the earth toward you, bending the elbows. You might lower knees down and then lowering chest down, chin down. You can keep the hips lifted for a moment and then exhale, pressing hips to the earth, tops of the feet to the earth. And then walking hands back a little bit further toward the center of the breast line here. And then from here, pressing into the palms, a little lift here of the head, the shoulders, and exhale to lower. Rolling cobras, finding your breath, your movement. Grounding into the tops of the feet. Grounding into the pelvic bones, tailbone long. And then walking the hands forward so that the elbows are underneath your shoulders. We're going to draw the elbows back and allowing that kind of catch on the mat there of the forearms and elbows to help draw the heart forward. Simultaneously ground through your feet, let the tailbone be long. So you might even press into the top of the pelvis, letting the lower back lengthen out. From here, we're going to clasp through the hands, curl the toes under, and lift through the hips. So now we're in a forearm plank. Just a few breaths here. You'll notice that the more that you focus on drawing your body in opposite directions, the more energy builds in your core. So as you draw the heels back, crown of head forward, tailbone long, slight tuck in the chin. You might feel a little shake. And then slowly, we're gonna walk the feet forward, staying rooted on your elbows, your forearms. You can bend the knees a little, let the head be heavy. Inhale here in dolphin. Then exhale, lowering the knees, pressing back for a moment, child's pose. You can extend your hands long in front of you. Maybe the forehead rests to the mat. You might rock a little side to side. If child's pose is not a comfortable resting pose, you might put a blanket or a bolster between your hips and heels, or you might come into a puppy dog pose instead. Keeping hips lifted above the knee creases. Whatever your resting pose is, we embrace the role that rest plays in our practice and in our lives. Holding a very necessary polarity to doing and activity. Coming back to a sense of being supported, being held, being known inside of the familiar spaces. And gathering from this place of sensing and feeling and knowing of yourself, we'll come back into movement through tabletop. Inhale here, curling the toes under, and exhale, downward facing dog. Second time in this shape. And it's a lovely home base to notice what's changing across the practice. Are your hamstrings beginning to open a little more? How does the breath flow here? What's happening in your shoulders? And then slowly gazing forward, and you can walk forward, or maybe you want to hop forward. A little spring in your step. Inhale, finding a halfway lift. Exhale to fold. Inhale, we'll come all the way up to standing. Exhale, stay facing this way. Right hand back, left hand forward. Inhale, center. Switching it out, left fingertips back, right forward. Into center. Lifting the knee to the right. Inhale. To the left. Inhale. Palm tree. Releasing the hands. Lifting the heels. Exhale. Clasping hands. Drawing heart to lift on an inhale. Exhale, forward fold. Slowly releasing hands to the earth, finding a halfway lift. And exhale, planting hands, stepping back, high plank. This time an option to exhale to low plank, halfway down. You can always come to the earth for cobra, or inhale over the toes for upward facing dog. And we exhale, meeting in downward dog. Again, you can skip all of that, stepping right back to down dog. From downward dog, bending the knees, walking forward, or maybe you bend a little deeper, you set your gaze at the top of the mat, finding your focus, the direction for that bow, and hopping forward. One way or another, we meet at the top. Inhale, halfway. Exhale, fold. Inhale, stepping feet together, bending the knees, and we'll lift up into Utkatasana. So here, feeling that tension between our connection to the earth and our reaching for the heavens, right? So you can explore the space in between that holds you here. There we go. And sometimes what happens is as we sit a little bit deeper, we close off through the heart. So exploring what supports you to stay open-hearted in the midst of intensity. We'll do a little balance flow here. You're getting used to today's flow. On the exhale, we're going to send the fingertips back. We're going to weight into the right foot. Inhale, we'll lift the right knee. Stay bent in the right leg. We're lifting the left knee. Stay bent in the right leg. And we'll have a little Utkatasana half lift here. Exhale, fingertips back. Weighting left foot. Inhale. Let's lift that right leg. And a little Karate Kid action here. Exhale, send it back. Let's do this 2 more times each side. Inhale. Exhale. Inhale, right. Exhale, 2 feet on the earth. Inhale, left. Exhale. And inhale, right. Exhale. Pressing into both feet, inhale all the way to mountain. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale, halfway lift. And exhale, planting hands your way to down dog. Remember, you can always step right back. From downward facing dog, taking left foot slightly towards the right foot, so a little towards the center to free up through the right leg. We'll pause here for a moment in our 3-legged dog, grounding into the left heel, grounding into both palms, and then if you like, stacking the hips. Right hip over the left, maybe bending into the right knee, and you might gaze under your left armpit or over the shoulder. You might notice your toes. You can wiggle them. You can explore here what it's like to really press equally into both palms, even as you twist into the low spine. We're opening through the psoas. On an exhale, coming back to parallel with the hips and stepping all the way forward and through. Now, if you like here, we'll take a few breaths just in and out of our lunge, maybe using blocks, bringing the floor a little closer. Eventually, we're going to work our way into standing. You can check with your feet that they're wide enough apart that you're not on a balance beam. And then taking your hands to your hips for a moment. You can bend a little into that left knee and then drawing the arms up overhead if you like. From here, finding your balance. And on an exhale, we'll bend a little bit more deeply into the left knee and cactus through the arms. Inhale, reaching the thumbs back, lengthen through the left leg. Exhale, cactus. Inhale. Exhale. One more like that. This time, inhale here, and exhale, bringing the hands back down, blocks or earth, and then lowering the left knee to the earth. You can walk the hands on top of the right thigh for a moment, and greeting, once again, psoas and hip flexor on the left. So if the primary sensation is down here at the top of the thigh, I want to invite a little exploration that will draw it a little bit further into the left side of the belly of the psoas muscle. So our block can come in handy for this, and we take the block aside the right hip, slightly behind. I like the tall setting for this. And then we can lean toward the right slightly, the right hand into the block, maybe left arm up overhead, maybe palm behind the head. And then from there, as you sink the hips a little more forward, you might sense this in that left side belly. Slowly unwinding from here, taking both hands to the inside of the right foot. And you can toe heel that right foot out, toe heel, toe back out, so that the right foot's at a little angle for your knee. And then maybe walk the left hand off the mat a little to the left. And from here, we'll open the right arm back, maybe bend the left knee, maybe take hold of the foot. If you're not taking hold of the foot, you can intend in that direction. I also haven't been showing this, but you can use a strap here and then press against the strap. Slowly unwind. Coming back through hands on the earth, lifting left knee and stepping right foot back to meet the left. One more part of this aspect of our sequence. From a high plank, we're going to shift weight into the left side foot. Your feet can be staggered, both feet on the earth, and for a moment, reaching the right fingertips up towards the ceiling. Let's switch sides, coming through high plank, grounding into the right hand. Both heels shift to the back, lifting your left arm up. Very active flow today, as I mentioned at the beginning, honoring your body, please. Let's come back through high plank, pressing back, downward facing dog. We've got our second side crescent lunge series. Inhale, freeing your left leg, and exhale forward and through. And for a few breaths here, as it works for you, just lifting and lowering out of your lunge. And then checking in that your feet are hip width or wider, walking hands on top of the left leg. And then maybe a little knee bend in and out here before we add in the arms. When you're ready to add in the arms, lifting them up overhead. And then we'll bend through the elbows as we bend into the right knee. A little heart lift here. And then send the thumbs up as you lengthen through the right leg. Exhale. Inhale. Exhale. Inhale. And exhale. Up and over. Coming into a low lunge. This time, right knee descends. Taking a moment, if you like, to walk hands on top of the left thigh. You can come in and out. And then we'll find our way into our psoas. I realize I skipped a little something. I'll bring it back in later on that right psoas opener from down dog. But from here, we're taking the block behind the left hip. And then as we descend the hips, taking a little twist as we lift through the right arm. Now, if it's too much to use the block, keep hand on the hip, maybe bending the hand, sending the back of the head into the hand as we open up a little more through right psoas and heart. Lifting up and around, taking both hands to the inside of the left leg, toe, heel, toe out. You can send that right heel back a little further. And then from here, we're taking the right hand even off the mat a little bit, nice and wide. And then allowing yourself to twist open toward the left thigh. Maybe left arm reaches back, maybe left foot bends, and we take a little hold. In that bow-like shape, if you're there, feeling that tension of the kicking the foot into the hand, the resistance of the hand that helps to open the heart. Slowly unwinding, releasing, planting the hands, stepping left foot back to meet the right. Let's take this to down dog and then lifting through the left leg. A moment here of pause, evenness through the hips, through the hands. Reaching down through the right heel, breathing into the back of your right leg. And then maybe opening the hips, bending through left leg, left knee, gazing under armpit or over shoulder, wiggling your left toes. Slowly back through parallel, left foot to the earth. A moment, both knees to the earth, pressing back into child's pose or your resting variation. Close a curtain that's letting in a lot of sun here. It's a gorgeous sunny day here in Colorado. See how that does for our light in here. It's a little dark. Maybe I'll open that back up. So in our brief resting shape, allowing yourself to come back to center, come back to self. When we're playing out there and all of these tension of opposites in our world and our practice, we can get a little lost to self. And while there's some function in that as we meet the unknown, it's quite valuable to come back to ground and to the familiar. Slowly from here, moving through tabletop. Curling toes under, pressing hips back, downward facing dog. And then inhale, freeing right leg. Exhale, stepping forward and through, grounding left heel. Inhale, warrior two. In our warrior two shape, we're gonna take a little bow variation. So let's go ahead and take the palms forward here together. And then we're going to take the Left hand, we're going to draw back across the chest and allow yourself to keep that left elbow bent, taking a gaze toward your right thumb, sinking a little bit deeper into the legs, lifting through the chest and feeling yourself setting your sights on that focus, that intention, that target of your awareness. Let the breath deepen here. What it is that you want to create in your life, what you want to give birth to, that new reality. And then freeing the fingertips, reaching up and away. And exhale into extended side angle. Right forearm greeting the right thigh, left arm up and overhead. Not here very long, just passing through these shapes today. Inhale, lengthen through the right leg, reaching away. And exhale, long, reach, 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 maybe a little micro bend in the right knee. And then finding triangle pose, Trikonasana. Beautiful angular shape, very grounded, potent. Maybe gazing towards your left thumb, straight ahead or down. And then soften through the right knee. Inhale through warrior two. And exhale your way down to downward facing dog, however you want to get there. From downward dog, finding side two. Inhale, freeing left leg. Exhale, forward and through. Grounding into the right heel. Turn around here. And we'll find our way into that warrior two variation. So greeting the shape, opening the hips, and then let's take the palms together. And I want you to draw back on that bow. Really sending your awareness toward your focal point. For now, that left thumb, feeling yourself pulling through the right elbow, opening across the chest. Finding the breath. And then freeing the hands. Inhale, reaching away. And exhale, extended side angle, forearm to thigh, right arm reaches long. Inhale, let's lift up, reverse triangle, slight bend in the left knee as we reach, 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 and rotate. Triangle. Softening your gaze, softening through the front leg. Inhale. And exhale, your way to downward facing dog. Once you arrive in downward facing dog, we'll make our way to the front of the mat, however you would like to get there. Maybe you walk forward, maybe you hop forward. Inhale, finding a half foot lift. And exhale to fold. Inhale, coming all the way to standing Samastitihi. Just a brief pause here. Palm to palm in front of your heart, or maybe palm over palm. Sensing and feeling your heartbeat, your presence, your own aliveness. We have one more little standing balance flow. I'm actually going to demo it real quick before I guide you through it. Sometimes it's helpful to see where we're going. So in this flow, I'm going to show it from the side. We're going to explore traditional dancer's pose, Natarajasana, into reverse dancer's pose. And it's a little bit of a play, flow, make it your own if this, what I'm guiding, doesn't feel right for your body. And if you want to just hold traditional Natarajasana using a windowsill or a chair or wall, finding that for yourself. You might gaze here forward for this demo here. So we're going to inhale through Utkatasana, drawing the arms back. We're going to draw the left leg with us as we did earlier. On an exhale, we're going to send the left foot back to catch it with the left hand. Here's our traditional dancers. So pelvis facing forward as we've been practicing, finding that bow as we've been exploring all class. That tension of opposites, we'll hold it a little longer than that. We're going to come out of it, taking hold of the left foot with the right hand for a moment. So a little variation of Natarajasana in this shape. And then releasing, we're taking right hand, left foot behind you. Don't worry, I'll talk you through it as you do it. And then we'll find a reverse dancers. Okay? Play with me. Thank you. So this is the dance, right? Being with the familiar, the unfamiliar, the tension of opposites, the all of it, knowing that we can go into that space, find something new. Inhale, Utkatasana. Exhale, sweeping arms back. Inhale, we're taking left knee with us. Pausing for a moment, finding your balance, your gaze. Halfway lift with that left leg, grounding the pelvis forward, and on an exhale, we begin to send the left foot back. It's that twist that we practiced earlier through the upper body, continuing to square the pelvis forward. Then if you've got a hold of your foot, beginning to kick a little bit forward. Now you don't have to go into a dramatic kick. Right here is sufficient. Exploring what supports your body, that tension of opposites. Reaching with the right fingertips, kicking into the left foot, finding your breath. Slowly, slowly, perhaps without touching left foot to the earth, bringing left foot back forward. And we take right hand and left foot to make contact. You can explore a little kick here. If you fall out of balance, so be it. The floor's not far. And just finding even a little knee bend, a little left elbow bend here. The beauty of like one of those sacred dancing statues. And then from here, releasing hand and foot, they're going to meet behind you. And one last expression here in the unfamiliar dancer shape. Slowly unwinding, releasing left foot to the earth. Maybe shake out that right foot for a moment. We were balancing there for a while, huh? Letting that side go. And from here, bending into the knees. Inhale, Utkatasana. Exhale, sweeping the arms back. Inhale, we're taking right knee with us. Pausing for a moment here. Feeling the strength of the core. And somehow still accessing that softness inside of the shape. And then on an exhale, drawing left knee back. Taking right arm around to the inside of the right foot. Now you can check with your hips nice and squared forward. The twist is in the mid-spine. And then exploring your kick as is right for you. Slowly, slowly. Unwind. Drawing right knee up once again. And this time, left hand, right foot come to meet in front of the body. You can lift through the right arm. You might even take a little mudra with the right hand. Thumb to first or second finger. A little bend in the left knee. And then it's same hand, same foot that meet behind you. From here, a little kick and play. Reverse Natarajasana, dancer's pose. A variation of Shiva, that aspect within each and every one of us that recognizes the very necessary properties of letting go. Releasing the old in service of creating the new. Slowly, slowly. Back to center. Whew. Releasing both feet to the earth. Maybe shake out that left foot. And we're going to make our way all the way down onto our backs. So knowing that we've got a few more shapes before we come into Shavasana, but that's where we're heading toward. So if you need a layer for warmth or a blanket, finding that in your transition. Once you arrive on your back, taking a moment to hug knees in toward your chest. Noticing your heartbeat, your breath. Keeping hold of the right leg, the right shin, extending your left leg long. And pausing in this half limb removing pose. A compression over the ascending colon. And a compression in the psoas on this side of the body. Not only is that our fight and flight muscle, that's also our ability to take meaningful action, drawn from the center, from the core of the body. With sufficient support and ground and sense of self. If you'd like, we'll find a supine twist, taking right knee over toward the left, grounding into the right shoulder, maybe gaze coming toward the right fingertips. And back through to center. Drawing right knee in, letting left knee in come to join. A little compression once again, both sides. And then extending right leg long. Feeling this compression on the left side belly, descending colon. Supporting our digestion at all levels, physical, emotional, energetic. And then sending left knee over to the right, supine twist. Coming back through to center. One more time, both knees in. Finding a compression across the shins, maybe nose to knees. Hugging it all into center so that from this place, We can let it go, extending legs long, arms by your sides, head heavy, jaw soft, eyes soft. Making your way into final resting shape, Shavasana, honoring that this practice of letting go, practice of corpse pose, apropos to this time of the year, honoring the Day of the Dead, right? And the absolute value of surrendering and letting go. Sensing and feeling the support of the earth beneath you. As you rest here, I will offer once again these words, just letting them float through your awareness, land where they do. If we can stay with the tension of opposites long enough, sustain it and be true to it, we can sometimes become vessels within which the divine opposites come together and give birth to a new reality. And with that in mind, slowly beginning to wake up your body, wiggling fingers and toes, rotating hands around the wrists, bending the knees, allowing your feet to rotate around your ankles, and rolling to one side in a fetal pose. The symbolic transition that the death gives way to a rebirth. And slowly, as you transition to seated, if you choose to do so, of course, you're welcome to stay in Shavasana. But as you make that transition, bringing with you the seeds of that new reality. Arriving perhaps palm to palm in front of the heart. And together an offering as we bow head to heart. May this practice be of benefit to all beings, allowing yourself to be deeply nourished by this time that you have devoted to yourself in your day. Namaste.